Hi guys, got a quick vid for you today. There's only two topics that I want to cover today, and they're both inspired by other vids that I've watched on here. And the first topic I want to talk about is magic. And the vid that I saw was a guy saying that the magic doesn't exist and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going to say that I'm going to disagree with him completely, and I'm going to say that magic does exist, but he doesn't really understand what magic is. And for those of you that believe that magic doesn't exist, I want you to go look up and research why Hollywood is named Hollywood. And then there's a very easy to research reason for that. But what the reason that people don't think that magic exists is because most people think of like magic as the ability to change the laws of nature and change the laws that govern our universe. And that's not what magic is. Magic is a psychological phenomena. And it's kind of a deep topic, but what people should understand is that there's only one sequence of events that have gotten our universe to the current state that it's in right now. And these events are true and real. And what magic is when one person or group of people can take control and control the perception of other people about this sequence of events. And basically what magic comes down to is when you have one or a group of people that have a much better grasp of reality, this true sequence of events that have led us to the point that we're at. And they use this understanding to control the reality of people who not only have a lesser understanding, because that wouldn't be so bad if it was just the fact of somebody having because nobody understands this every sequence of events that has led us to this point. It's not capable for human beings, but you're not meant to know every event that's led to here. But where the problem arises is when you have people with a better understanding of these events that have led us to this current state that we're in, and they use that understanding to control the understanding of other people. So in my opinion, it's much better to not understand everything, but be sure that your understanding isn't being controlled by outside forces. And that's what magic is, and that's what magic has always been. Now, it manifests because you can do sleight of hand and tricks of the eye, and you can trick people into thinking that you're changing the laws of nature. But what you're really doing is you're taking your better understanding of reality and using it to psychologically manipulate the targets of your magic. And I mean, it doesn't all have to be done in an evil way. I mean, magic can be in good fun as well. I mean, magicians are fun to watch, and I don't think magic in itself is a bad thing, but I think where magic really is an issue is where people aren't looking for it. And when they don't really understand what magic really is. It's not some sleight of hand. The little sleight of hand tricks are not the main type of magic. The main type of magic that is used against the population is a psychological manipulation of your reality. And I feel like that's one thing that's it's very important for people to understand this, because it's basically why we're in the situation we're in. And I'm going to go off on a little side tangent here, because I think it goes with the magic, the whole idea of magic and a deeper grasp of reality. There's people in this society, like if you go into the Vatican and places like that, and some of these secret societies, not all of them, but like even some of these families, like if you look at the royal families and if you look at the Rothschilds and these people that have these long lineages of wealth and power, what these people actually have, what gives them a huge advantage over the rest of the population, and this is one of the things, this is why the Vatican Library isn't open to the public, and there's other, like the Rothschilds have a lot of information that the general population will never be exposed to, and other of these royal family type people. What these people have is a much clearer and better understanding of the human history over the past couple thousand years. These people have much clearer view of how things have gotten to where they are, and they go through extreme lengths to keep that view from 99.999% of the population. And this is the reason why it's so easy for these people to control society on such a large scale, is because you have people that have a much, much clearer picture of the human history over the past couple thousand years than the average population is taught in school. Even in the highest, most prestigious colleges that you go to, you're not going to be given the history that places like the Vatican know, and places like people like the Rothschild family. These people have way more information about our past than what is given to the population. And they have information on how to control populations on a large scale. I mean, this is stuff that's been tried and tested over the past thousands of years. And one other thing I want to talk about is, like, there's this guy who's been going, and I don't dislike him, but I think he's a charlatan pretty much. He just had a Netflix story, and his name's Graham Hancock, and he's written these books, and he's basically, what he's doing is he's retelling the Atlantean story and kind of pretending that he's come up with this thought process, and he's trying to make a buck on it, selling books and selling stuff on Netflix and going on Joe Rogan and all the other social engineering podcasts that feed you your reality. And all he's really doing is taking things that he's heard in his life from people like Manly P. Hall and other people that are similar to that, who have talked about this ancient knowledge that is being kept from the rest of the population. And rest assured, the Vatican, the Rothschilds, the royal family, these people know much more about the construction of the pyramids, when they were constructed, Atlantis, the disaster that brought Atlantis to its end. These people know all these things, and they are just not, they're not fed to the cattle. And that is the biggest way that the population is controlled, is by a group of people who have a much better grasp of the sequence of events that have led us to this point. And they use that better grasp of reality as a way to force the rest of the population to basically live in a fantasy reality. Literally, I usually say 95% of people are living in a fantasy reality, but it's actually even more than that. It's probably closer to 99% of the population that has allowed people with a better understanding of reality to completely control their lives, their thoughts, and their actions for generations. Literally, these people have had their mind controlled by magic for generations. And most of them are so far gone now that it's not even an option for them to step back into reality. It's not something they can do. And this is going to lead me to the second topic that I want to cover. And that is these I get emails and questions from people about this channel, and a lot of the questions are, why don't you have more subs? Everything you say seems so blatantly obvious, and stuff like that. And there's a couple reasons why this information isn't being pushed wider, but the biggest one is that cattle don't want the truth. And what it comes down to is that even when people, and most of the people in the population right now they see all the corruption, and they see how blatant the corruption is on every single level of society. It's so blatant for anybody to see. But the reason people don't want to see this information is because these cattle have no way to survive or even feel good about themselves without being these people's dependent slave cattle. It's the only reality that they've ever been presented for generations. So when they see information that makes them feel uncomfortable about the situation, like they don't mind hearing about the corruption and all the nonsense that is blatantly obvious to see for everybody. But when you want to get down to the deeper root of the problem, where they go is to, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but a large part of the population that sees the corruption and knows it's there, they don't want to see information like this because it makes them realize that they are the problem. It's not these politicians. These politicians only do what we allow them to do. And people don't want to look at themselves as the dependent cattle problem. And that's why this type of information isn't more popular. And even when people agree with it, they only agree with it. A lot of, like, I'll get comments, like one-off comments, like, oh yeah, you're so right, this is so obvious. And then I'll look at the people's subscriptions to who they're subscribed to, and there'll be people like Low Impact Shill. It's all the same things. Any of these people that are on social media dealing with like these type of topics, these people can't survive without the current corrupt system. So I don't know. I mean, it's just people being very weak and morally, I don't even know what the word for it is, just shallow. Like, it's like they can see the problem and they know the corruption's there, but the only thing that they're willing to do to change it is to watch charlatans on social media. And that's how they make them feel good about themselves, to feel like that they've done something, when all they've done is just watch charlatans, basically, literally charlatans and marketeers on social media. And the other thing I want to talk about, and this is also why people latch on to these silly political ideologies. And I'm talking to a specific person here, so I just want people to understand, since I've been born, since I've been around, we've had, just listen, just so you can see, we've had Carter, who was a Democrat, then Reagan, who was a Republican, then Bush, who was a Republican, then Clinton, who was a Democrat, then Bush Jr., who was a Republican, then Obama, who was a Democrat, then Trump, who the fuck knows what he is, but he ran as a Republican. But then now we have a Democrat. So all of you fucking retards, what do you think? Can somebody please rationally explain to me what you think has changed over that period of time? What do you think your vote has actually accomplished? I mean, it just goes to show how morally neglected and corrupt and disgusting and just trashy this population really is that they're willing to latch on to the most obvious of scams in order so that they don't have to change their mesmerized cattle view of reality. It's easier. And the other thing, the reason that it switches back and forth like it does from left to right and back again is because the reason that they do this is because at any given time, it ensures that half of the silly brainwashed dependent cattle are in support of the corruption, the continued expansion of corruption that's currently going on. So now next selection, when a Republican goes in, all this corruption that's happened over the past 5 years will be forgotten, and then you'll have the contards who will now support the next 4 years of expansion and corruption, as if like it's a victory to them that they've won something. And it just gets back to the low moral, mesmerized nature of these disgraceful cattle that are the American population. And it's not just the US, it's all over the world, but the Western societies have a certain brand of mind control that I feel is on a different level than the rest of the societies. And and it just, and the other thing that I find interesting about these political people is that it's just such truly unbelievable that these people latch on to these political ideologies and think that they're gonna and believe that like they've done something, like them voting is like them doing something constructive to fix the problem. It's just like I said, it just goes to show you how morally neglect this population is, and how much they're willing to deal with as much corruption as there is because they can't survive without it, and reality isn't important to them. What's important to them is being pampered, brainwashed cattle that don't have to ever do anything but follow the orders of somebody that's in charge of them in the hierarchy. And I mean, that's the other thing that's kind of irritating too, is because there's only one thing that anybody has to do in this system to succeed. Succeed in the eyes of this system anyway. It's only one thing you have to be willing to do, and that's follow somebody's orders. If you're willing to follow somebody's orders, then you'll go right to the top. You'll be the next chief of police, or as long as you're willing to follow somebody's orders that claims to be in charge of you, you'll be able to go almost to the very top of the pyramid. Because that's all this system is based on, is brain dead, order following, low moral, mesmerized cattle. And that's all I want to say. Take care, guys.